I'm not winning any awards for this intro, I think.
That's okay. The podcast Pulitzers are going to be holding back this week.
They already gave them all to us for our investigative Is the Moon Out research last week.
Hey man, that was cool. There was like a full-on eclipse.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, you know. The moon was out, but it wasn't as it seemed.
Ooh.
I've got to report on the dark side of the moon. That's the whole point of the job.
Well, you box in your box to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name, well, yo Adrian, it's me, Gareth Blackler, and in this corner, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world, my co-host, James Barron.
Yo,
hello.
Gareth. Hey, how's it going, man? How are you? No, I'm abandoning that immediately. Gosh, hi. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. How are you? Are you feeling like just any bit more inspired today for any reason, you know?
Yeah, just feeling ready to talk about an inspiring film. I feel prepared to take my shot and do the best podcast job that I can. Ready to go the distance with you, Gareth, here on the mic at the very least, because we're talking Rocky this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good time. 1973, right? Same year.
6, I believe?
Pardon? 1976?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Not the same year.
Not the same year. Never mind.
We'll mark that off on his charts.
1976, Rocky. There it is. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. The second one came out in 79. Anyway, but yeah, it's a good old film. Have you seen it before? Had you seen it before?
I thought I had. I think I've seen a stretch of the first hour before.
Yeah.
Which is a weird bit to see. I had seen Rocky Balboa, which is Rocky 6.
Wow.
From 2006. I remember watching that as a family rented DVD night and thinking it was really good. And thinking like, oh wow, and Rocky loses this one. That's amazing. And little did I know.
Little did you know.
That's kind of his thing.
Kind of, you know. Sometimes he gets the win, but you never know. Yeah. I have a similar story in that like I caught this film, like a section of this film while it was on free-to-air television. And was ushered off to bed when the boxing started. Because I was a child at the time. But yeah, so very similar that and this is also the only Rocky that I've seen. So I didn't know much. I got the complete picture of Rocky 1 on this watch.
Yeah, you finally knew that there was boxing in it.
There is. He's a boxer apparently. He's not just like a beatnik singer kind of guy who wears a fedora.
You're watching it thinking like, man, so excited for his jazz concert at the end.
Yeah, man. I'm just waiting for this musical to start. There haven't been a lot of numbers so far, but it's got
there's like those guys at the start and then that's it.
Yeah, oh my God. Shout out to those guys, man.
Yeah. Did you know Rocky has since become a musical?
I did not know that, but that makes perfect sense to me. It's got like the melodrama for a musical. It's like Rocky as a film's like very over the top. But also it's dealing with some like dire straits kind of situations. And I feel like that lends itself to a musical really well, where these people could have little songs on their own. I can imagine like Adrian's Cutaway song.
Yeah, Paulie's song.
Oh, Paulie's song is so good. It's all about him being very drunk all of the time.
Yeah. It's in a completely different genre to the other songs or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, man. So you haven't seen any other part of the Rocky cinematic universe?
No.
You haven't seen Creed?
I've not seen Creed, but in fact, so much so that I assume that follows Apollo Creed, but I'm probably wrong.
No, Apollo Creed's son.
Oh, young Creed.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I like that. That's cool. Fair enough. Does he learn some valuable lessons? I guess we'll find out if we ever get to a bloody Creed. In the Creed franchise.
I want to see Creed more than I want to want to see other Rocky movies. I think that looks more my speed.
Absolutely.
I've got the Creed speed.
The Creed for speed.
The need for Creed.
Oh, there we go.
Just like Christian music audiences in the early 2000s. I need Creed.
Everybody needs Creed, man. Oh, man. What a band. Where's our Creed show that we're going to do?
Hey, we can record that anytime. My plans are like Creed's arms. Wide open.
Yeah. The show's called With Ears Wide Open.
Listening to that is your sacrifice.
My sacrifice. Rocky, though. Good flick. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. One Best Picture and a couple other Academy Awards. Another one that I just pulled out of the ether last week because I was like, oh yeah, let's do another big hit classic movie, you know? And yeah, Rocky was one that I'd seen part of, and so we pulled it out of the air and we're doing it. Seeing how it synced up with the Floyd boys 3 years down the track.
Surprised were you that this movie is actually real bleak and slow?
Oh, I was loving it. I remember hating it when I saw it on TV because I was just like, what is this? What is happening? I think it was I was barely paying attention to it at the time because I was a child, as restating that. But now this movie is just it's 90% mood the whole way through. And I love that kind of thing now. So, that's perfect for me. But yeah, it's definitely a bleak and harrowing story. I don't know what's going on with my picks as well, that they're all kind of leaning this way recently, but
I was gonna check it.
Mate, I'm doing fine, I promise. But yeah, I bloody loved this on the rewatch, so yeah, worth checking out. If you haven't seen Rocky, go seek it out. Yeah, worth a watch.
Yeah,
cinematography alone, I reckon. I think it's a damn well shot movie. Yeah, really shows off Philadelphia at both its height and also its bleakness. It's kind of wild to me that this movie set Philadelphia so far ahead in the public consciousness when it looks like an absolute hole in this movie a lot of the time.
Philadelphia love this movie. They've gone on record saying it's the second best thing to happen to them since Ben Franklin.
Freaking wild. Even though I feel it's just real, maybe. This is probably what Philadelphia was in the 70s. It's just accurate. I do also we're getting into it kind of now, but everyone just talks to Rocky on the street. They're just like, hey Rocky, how you going? Everyone knows him, which does kind of paint Philadelphia as this nice place to go with the cheers of places, you know?
Yeah, Boston only had one bar. Philadelphia, the whole place knows your name.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think that's reasonable. But yeah, they bloody love it, and I can see why. It's a great flick.
Yeah. It's interesting. So Sylvester Stallone, there's a lot of famous stories about this movie about how he had no money making it and all this stuff. And a lot of it, you kind of start to take with a grain of salt. If you do enough research, you realize he's kind of stretching these stories quite a bit. They're changing a lot when he tells them. Like any good story, I suppose. Yeah. But so apparently he got back from being around Europe doing small acting jobs. And he was like, all right, I've got to write something for myself. And he looked at what was popular in the 70s and he noticed it was all really depressing. So he was like, all right, sweet, I'll just put myself in something really depressing and that'll make money and make me a star. And yeah, I'm worried about the 70s because it worked. And Jaws as well, being really slow and bleak. Yeah. Also a huge hit. Check in on the 70s, guys. Give them a call. Make sure they're doing all right.
Mid-70s not looking good. Tail end, everyone's feeling the burn. We're about to head into the 80s, where things are going to everyone's going to try and make things zany again, but no, it's not going to work. Not going to work until the 90s.
When the zaniness finally works, thanks to The Mask.
When everyone sort of mellows out. We all into the friends zone, as I like to call it. Amazing.
And Sylvester Stallone's original plan for this series was And it wasn't going to keep being about boxing. Rocky 2, he wanted Rocky to become a politician.
Whoa, running for mayor? I could see that, honestly.
Right?
Yeah. That would have been wild.
Yeah. And then I think the third one, because Rocky was too good to take bribes, he was going to get, like, blackmailed or something and then end up back on the streets having to box again, and it was going to be, like, a full circle.
Whoa. I'd like that, like, Mayor Hagar kind of vibe from him, where he's just beating up, like, in the office, but also, like, fucking fighting in the streets and alleyways of Philadelphia. That's wonderful. What could have been?
It turns the whole Rocky franchise into this, like, let's assume it goes down that path, but it gets kind of as silly as it ends up getting by Rocky 4, which has a robot in it.
Yeah.
Like, Rocky ends up having to fight other politicians and, like, defeats them in boxing matches, and then their city becomes part of Philadelphia until Philadelphia runs the whole country.
He starts beating up historical figures and claiming their history as Philadelphia's. Incredible.
Yeah, he's going back, rewriting the record books.
Yeah.
To the point where America was discovered by Rocky, but Rocky already lived there. Oh.
He's 3 out of 4 faces on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, he's recarved those with his fists.
Yeah. Punched them into submission. Oh my gosh. I love this version of Rocky. But for all I know, it could be canon. This could be the way that it goes. But we've got to talk about this first flick, the humble beginnings of Rocky before the robot, before Creed, before his arms are wide open. Okay? Got to talk about him, what he's up to.
Yeah.
Should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's talk about how Rocky syncs with Pink Floyd.
Oh, nice.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. Gloves up. Speak to me, opening title, blah, blah, blah. We've got the big ass Rocky font coming in.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Why is this font so huge? I love it, but it's it's just scrolling across the screen like a ticker at a stock option or something. It's so strange. I do like it a lot.
It really doesn't work for, like, the humble beginning it's trying to sell of its character by having his name that huge.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like he's got his name up in lights already at the start of the movie, kind of, which sort of undercuts what's about to happen, but that's fine.
Yeah, because it's not like he believes his name is up in lights either.
No.
Like, he feels like a loser.
Yeah, I much prefer the, like, understated title card that he gets later, so that's the canon one for this watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get like a date setting here, the 25th of November, 1975. Coincidentally, we're recording this on the 25th of November, Gareth. How do you feel about that?
I know. I was shook when I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone keeping track of New Zealand, it's also like one of our wildest days of New Zealand politics.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
Rocky came and beat up the leader of the opposition and took their title, and I'm pretty sure he runs the National Party now, so that's pretty exciting.
Way to go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next election year going forward, but I imagine he's got some sweeping policies that are gonna change people's minds. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, but yeah, we get like an opening bout or fight in this like gymnasium, which Rocky does his training at, his boxing training.
I just want to note, we open pretty much on a huge painting of Jesus and then pan down to Rocky. Yeah. Which is saying a lot.
Like, it is.
Meet your new savior, folks.
I don't know if he's like being painted as a Jesus figure in the same kind of way. Like, I feel like Jesus is just looking down on this boy, like guiding him a little bit. I don't think he's to be watched by Jesus and by us. I feel like
the movie's almost saying like, hey, it's like Jesus is your narrator. He's like, hey, check this guy out.
Yeah, let's see what this guy's up to. He's just paying a bit of attention, and so should you. Bloody look sharp. Pay attention. Rocky's on. Yeah. But yeah, so we go down and they're having this this big old fight, boxing match here between Rocky and some other guy who I don't know. He looks a bit
Spider something.
Okay. Yeah. He's a nasty guy. He's got curly hair.
Yeah.
But we're getting...
Hey, hang on.
Well, I'm not saying all curly-haired people have nasty. That is not what I'm saying. That is not the official stance of Pink Floyd or James Barron or Gareth Blacklow, presumably. Yeah, no.
It's only this guy and me are the nasty guys with curly hair. That's the only two you have to look out for.
These are two facts that I use to describe this man. Nasty, curly hair. But yeah, we're getting the serene sounds of Breathe coming in over a boxing match. I feel like this would be better suited if we were having a slow motion kind of fight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. We're just getting regular
motion. This is
motion.
the only Rocky film that doesn't use slow motion in its fights.
Yeah, we do get a couple of slow-mo scenes, but only for drama later. But yeah. People are watching on. I think these are just other boxers or just other random punters here watching on. They're throwing trash up into the boxing ring, which I thought was rude as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just hating on this whole performance and yelling at Rocky, saying that he's fighting like a bum. There's a lot of people calling each other bums. That's a Philadelphia in the 70s thing. Yeah, bum.
It's treated as the worst insult possible as well. Yeah.
It's great. I like it a lot. I'm going to start using it. But yeah, Rocky gets very rudely headbutted by the nasty curly-haired man, and which has got to be disqualified after that, surely. But it sends him into a rage, and he just goes ham and knocks this guy down and out with a series of swift punches. And yeah, they the fight being over, they head out, go backstage or whatever, back to the locker room to recover. And I do like that they're both going back to the exact same place.
Yeah,
these guys, and having to hang out here. And yeah, they're doing that as we go into On the Run. So we just had a bunch of boxing to breathe, which is and then yeah, On the Run as these guys are sort of sitting back here, and the guy doesn't apologize. He's just you got lucky. It's fuck, okay, you cheated. But anyway, they get paid for the fight, and it's a pittance. They get the loser gets $17.50, and Rocky for winning gets around $40. Which is even in 1975 money is not much at all. And yeah, that's after all the taxes and expenses of the fight and putting everything on. So
yeah, for having a towel, it's $7 or something.
Yeah, from what I know about amateur boxing and wrestling, I feel like this is actually pretty accurate. They just don't get paid at all, shit all over basically for putting on a very extremely strenuous and impressive show. These people just don't get respect, and it fucking sucks. No wonder people don't want to be a boxer. Anyway.
Yeah, well, the lack of paying for amateur wrestlers is what led to Spider-Man happening. Yeah. So, look out for that.
Yeah, you could have a Spider-Man on your hands.
Yeah.
With all manner of other villains rising up to combat him. That's just bad for the town.
Yeah, so pay a wrestler today.
Vote Rocky for mayor. He doesn't even get a new gig until a couple of weeks from now. So this is just what he has to go on. It's Jesus. And then, he goes out into the cold streets of Philadelphia for the true opening credits and that nice second title card. I think this is very, it's very understated. It's very, cold and slow, as you say, wandering around these streets. And yeah, it's just, it sets the tone and the mood for the movie. I feel like these opening sequences very well. Yeah. And he goes and stops by a pet store, and there's some puppies in the window, and then he goes over to the singing group of lads, the amateur a cappella Bee Gees group out here on the streets, who I love so much. They are there's a whole different movie happening in that one location. They're just singing around a trash can that's on fire out in the alleyway, singing their bloody hearts out. Love them. They're in the musical of Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. They just wandered off. Someone followed them with a camera, and they got Rocky the Musical ready to go.
Right there, just on the street, waiting for you. But yeah, so he's going around and these guys are hanging out with him, and he just moves on and goes home. But you get the feeling and impression that like basically everyone in the neighborhood like knows or at least like tolerates Rocky. He's like a known quantity in the area where like people will say hey or like just comment to him or like call him a bum on the street. Like everyone fucking knows him, and I think that's really interesting like as a character because he's like he's a fascinating character, Gareth. Because he's dumb, but everyone kind of knows and respects him. He's like a well-known figure in the community, even now. Just cool.
I feel like cities as big as Philadelphia and as big as like Christchurch, New Zealand, or Otahi, like they are big enough yet small enough that you'll have characters like this. Like, I could name like 5 incredibly specific local Christchurch people.
Absolutely,
but I feel like there's only. The guy who I think I mentioned on a previous episode who interrupted me in the park and told me about how he used to do fire walking. Yeah. That's the only guy we've got in Auckland who's a Rocky figure.
No. Never mind. I could see like a whole Rocky movie being made about the Christchurch Wizard and his rise to popular power, and because that's like a whole thing that like I imagine anyone listening to this outside of New Zealand is like, what the fuck? Christchurch honestly, has a wizard. Or we had a wizard.
I think he's still doing. Or do you have multiple now?
He's not on payroll anymore, as the hot news. He was getting funded by the city council for his wizarding duties. I know.
He was.
He was a public figure.
Isn't he a dick?
Yeah. But yeah, they cut him loose basically because he was being a dick, and and now he was like, well, fine. I wouldn't want to cross him. He could put a curse on us all, you know?
Yeah. I have actually I think last time I was in Christchurch, I saw the secondary wizard, like
the apprentice.
A different wizard. Yes, maybe. It was someone who was in perfect Gandalf robes and walking around the park.
All right.
Like, yeah. So he's got more of a costume budget, but he seems to have less of officiality to him. This guy.
Less wizarding power. He's trying to establish himself as the warlock of Christchurch. Which, fair play. But not going to get far with the city council. Bloody hate magic and magical users. All right?
That's the movie I want to see.
Yeah, right?
The Anti-Magic Council.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's the Rocky story of him, right? He gets an opportunity to be the city's wizard, but there's just too much red tape. Yeah, man. Classic.
Why are there not more films? I guess that's what, like, most of Sylvester Stallone's career is. Where you just take Rocky and make him do something else.
Exactly.
Like, now Rocky's a wizard.
Oh my god. Give me the Rocky Wizard movie. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. Well, some people love him. Few people love him. Everyone tolerates him. Is probably more accurate. But yeah, we get it's more like nice lingering shots as we see him like going home to recover. He's going into this like crappy little hole in the wall apartment that he lives in. He's got a like covered up pillar with a mattress that he uses to like spar with, practices boxing. He's got a little couple of turtles.
Yeah.
Cuff and Link. He's got a goldfish named Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Say one thing about Rocky, he can name pets pretty well. Pretty funny.
Something wild is as of 2020, those turtles are still alive.
Holy shit. There you go, man. I stand by my turtle statement that gets me cancelled, but...
But don't get turtles.
Yeah. They live a long time. The Rocky turtles are still alive.
That's so true. It's so funny that IMDb, like this could just be bad IMDb writing, but the trivia section has higher up, as of 2019, the 2 turtles are still alive and living with Sylvester Stallone.
Whoa!
And then you scroll down and it says, as of 2020, the turtles are still alive. And it's like, did Sylvester Stallone kick them out? Is that what you're not telling us here?
They're not bringing in the rent like they need to.
Yeah.
These turtles, they've been mooching for too long. Stallone's had it up to here.
They're not winning their fights enough. They're not bringing home enough money. Yeah.
He's got them in a turtle boxing ring. That's very dark.
Yeah.
Moby Dick's the fucking ref.
The absolute bottom of the interesting pile, like you know how they rank IMDb trivia by interesting.
Yes.
Is Rocky's fish appears to be named Moby Dick. This is a reference to the book Moby Dick.
Wow. Shout outs. Yeah, good work. I guess that is trivia. Man, yeah. But we're getting time coming in as he's just decompressing after this fight and like looking at old photos of himself in the mirror and his family. And he practices a joke to tell Adrian tomorrow. And then he goes off to bed. He's just got this like regular routine that he sort of goes about because the next day he's got this joke prepared and heads to the pet store where Adrian works, who is his love interest for the movie, effectively. She's this lady with like horn rim kind of glasses and is incredibly shy. Doesn't really want anything to do with Rocky. Yeah, we're gonna get into that a lot more down the track. He's like just a fixture in her life. If you've worked retail, you've got a Rocky in your life who is just constantly coming in and talking to you because that's what they want to do, more so than like visit the shop or buy anything. And that is so tough to do, to deal with if you're in retail, right? That a customer that just wants to talk, just wants a friend more so than anything, you know?
Has misjudged your customer service as something else, and
it happens all the time, and I really felt for her in these pet shop scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's about to get so much worse. But yeah, he comes down here basically like what seems like every day just to like flirt with her and practice these jokes. I think she does like appreciate the jokes because she does like smile at the thing that he says, this dorky kind of line about his turtles being shell-shocked. Goodness me. He's been like sitting on that one for a little while. But yeah, it's pretty rough because she just sort of has to like go around doing her job.
Yeah, well, he's just kind of like following.
Yeah, and not saying anything. There's also, shout out to this dog, Butkus the dog. What a wild name for a dog, first of all, but also he's just hanging out here, ready to be a good friend for the movie.
Yeah.
Love to see
So
it.
the legend is that was Sylvester Stallone's real dog. That he had to sell in order to like make rent, and then once he sold the script for this movie, he could then buy Butkus back.
Whoa. That's wild, man. So
that's another one of those, like, we don't know how true that is, but...
Right.
Yeah.
That's why he's in the pet shop, because he sold him. He's just sitting there. He's waiting to be bought by Rocky.
The actress who plays Adrian bought the dog. And it's just like,
there you go.
Getting paid for my acting and making a profit on this dog.
Classic dog profits.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Hollywood's full of dog profits. It's mostly... how movies make money.
Yeah, just money laundering through the sale of dogs through movies. Classic Hollywood, man.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
Collars filled with money.
Just stacked in them like strippers. They've just got like wads of bills sticking out. Oh, poor wee pups.
The picture you've just painted of a dog club where it's just a dog on the stage and everyone's like going nuts and putting money in his collar. Like nothing sexual, just
the dog's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Just loving it. Yeah. It's the like dog or cat cafe equivalent, but everyone's just giving these dogs money directly. I like that a lot.
Oh, man.
Just like, man,
forget this podcast. We've just made our get rich quick scheme.
The dog club, it's called. Oh, God. It's got, like, overtly sexual branding, but there's nothing sexual about it at all. Like, sort of a Hooters situation, I guess.
Yeah. Some dogs are in weird, tight T-shirts.
Oh, no. Never mind. Back out. No, I'm out.
Right.
I'm sorry. Dragon's Den. I'm pulling my funding immediately. Anyway, Rocky heads down to do his like other job to supplement his boxing, which is he basically does like shakedowns for a local loan shark called Gazzo. It's like Gazzo is a crook, but he's not like a mafia guy as far as we know.
Yeah,
he's just like a like shady guy. and needs someone to follow up on these loans that he's giving out and chase people down and break people's thumbs.
Yeah.
And
see, the mob break legs. Gazzo just goes for thumbs.
Just goes for thumbs. It's not quite as bad. I mean, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, I'd hate to have a broken thumb.
Oh, God, nightmare. But, yeah, Rocky doesn't break this guy's thumb, even though we've talked about it a lot. Even though this guy is light on his payment by about $70. Basically, it just gives him a warning and lets the guy go. He gives an explanation for this down the track where he's like, he figures the guy wouldn't be able to do his job with a broken thumb and therefore he'd get more behind on the debt, etc. So he's got good logic to it. It's just that Gazzo doesn't like this. He wants him to like be told what to do and then do, and not really. He doesn't pay him to think things through.
Yeah,
which is fair, but yeah. Weirdly, Gazzo comes off as like kind of a nice guy for a like criminal like loan shark. He doesn't really do anything untoward other than this one shakedown. And basically for the rest of the movie, he's pretty nice. But it's his driver who's a jerk. There's this guy, Buddy, who drives him around, who just fucking sucks and is at Rocky's throat the whole time. Just showing that, like, some people don't like Rocky and don't want anything to do with him. But everyone knows him. Everyone's got a damn opinion on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like because he's like a brutish guy. But anyway, he goes down.
Yeah, it's probably like, I used to get this when I was like, going to the club. Like, apparently, if you're tall people... Yeah. When I was out there trying to finally get rid of all these tight t-shirts for dogs I own.
Yeah.
Guys are apparently weird to other guys who are tall. Like, it's a machismo, a toxic masculinity kind of thing. They're just like, like, they just want to appear tougher than someone who looks tough. And I don't even look tough, but people are like, well, he looks really not tough, but he's tall. Man. So we'll just, like, give him grief.
Interesting.
And yeah, I kind of get that. Like, they all know Rocky's not actually going to do anything, so they're just like, oh, we can just give him lip.
Give him shit all the time.
He's big and I look cool by doing it.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good psychoanalyzing there. That makes perfect sense to me, man. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Solved, buddy.
Solved. We figured out him. His character's done. I'm not going to talk about him again. Yeah, we go down.
That's the thing. You can clock a character in a review.
Yeah, he's fucking done. At the end of time, we go down to the gym, and Rocky's locker that he's had for 6 years, Gareth, has been given away to another guy, and he goes to confront the gym runner, Mickey, who's like an ex-boxer himself, about it, like saying, "What the hell? You gave my locker away," and Mickey basically like blows him off and says that he's not like pulling his weight and drawing in the crowds at the boxing matches that he's hosting. Pretty sure he was reffing the one that he like complains about here as well, by the way. But anyway, he's given his locker away to this other guy who he considers more of a contender than Rocky. He's like, this guy's got what you don't have, He says that Rocky has heart, but he fights like an ape, which is funny. I don't know. I guess he fights like an ape. I don't know how apes be fighting though.
Mickey would. Mickey strikes me as the guy who's been on a boat and to international waters to watch ape fights. Yeah, he's fought an ape.
on international waters.
Yeah,
it's one of his many stories. Oh man. But yeah, he says
did you know Mickey is played by the guy who played the Penguin in the 1960s Batman?
Whoa, no, that's great. He's got got very intense energy, so that tracks for the Penguin. Like, you need that sort of heightened personality to get that. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like, him alongside Danny DeVito in the Penguin pantheon in my mind is pretty good. That's a good fit.
The Penguin multiverse.
Yeah. The Penguin verse. Into the Penguin verse.
Oh man, it's like a March of the Penguins sequel where the real life penguins face off all these DC penguins.
Yeah. Oh man, I like it.
It's wild that the TV and movie penguins are Mickey from Rocky, Danny DeVito, and Colin Farrell. Those are the three people who have played the penguin.
Which of these is not like the other?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, no beef with you, Colin Farrell. I love you. You're a wonderful man. Anyway, Mickey also says that Rocky should consider retiring because he's saying he's washed up in so many words, but also that he'd never broken his nose, which is like a sort of hallmark thing for a boxer. He's still got his nose is intact after, I think it's like 60 something fights that Rocky's been in. Which is pretty wild to not have your nose broken after that many fights. But anyway, fair play.
Yeah. It's boxing in general is wild. The fact we see them later on looking completely destroyed, and it's like, oh no, that's how good boxing goes.
Yeah, that's just how it is, actually.
Yeah.
The match at the start of this movie is pretty regular for how boxing is. And now we've got even more intense stuff like MMA, which is just no gloves, just anything above the belt goes. You can put people in locks. It's nuts. I can't handle it. If you can watch MMA, shout outs to you, but it's not for me.
I was gonna ask, what is your relationship with martial arts and combat sports? Are you into any?
Not really. I did one taekwondo lesson growing up, and I got flipped over by a kid that was half my size, and then I never went back.
Oh, that's almost a very similar story of quitting and my karate career. Is I did karate when I was quite a lot younger, but we went to this place where often the senseis just didn't show up. So we went 2 nights a week. The senseis were supposed to, one sensei for the Tuesday, one sensei for Thursday. They just wouldn't rock up. So you'd either go home or this other guy would show up, this guy who's a black belt and a student. But because he was a black belt and he was 19, he was then allowed to run the class with a bunch of children, which... Looking back, really messed up. That shouldn't actually be how that works, but it was the 90s, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And, because he couldn't get us into the dojo because he didn't have the keys, we'd have to go train in the park down the road.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and, it just sucked because it was just, he didn't know the stuff to teach you properly, so... You'd just be doing push-ups for an hour.
What?
And then you'd be sent back on your way. Then finally, I quit because we had to do our fights to get our belts, and I had to fight him.
What?
So he was a black belt 19-year-old who had combat training, and I was a white belt child who'd only done push-ups.
What the fuck?
And afterwards, just this is a waste of everyone's time and energy. I'm just gonna, play hockey or something, Mum and Dad. Let's do something with structure.
Fair enough, man. That's your your Rocky versus Apollo Creed story. Very similar. Oh my god, no wonder. Incredible.
And then you ran from Yeah, exactly. And other people's parents were quite impressed that I did go the distance. They were like, wow, we were quite happy you're fighting this guy twice your size.
Yeah, god damn. Freaking wild. Yeah. Good job, Gareth. I'm proud of you as well. Man.
Oh, thank you.
I would have quit then as well. No doubt that would have sent me over the edge, but fucking power to you for getting in the ring. Man.
Oh, gosh.
Incredible.
I just remember the disappointment when this guy would show up and it meant we couldn't just go home.
Yeah.
It's we have to do karate.
Ugh. And it's not even karate. You're just doing push-ups outside. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So after this locker fiasco, he goes to visit Adrian again. It's now nighttime. The pet store's still inexplicably open.
This pet store rules.
Yeah. But she is, he awkwardly asks her out to a basketball game, which she doesn't even like react to. She sort of just like blanks him out the entire time that he's in the store. It's very awkward. He also tries to like rationalize him losing his locker as a good thing. Does a lot of talking out loud when talking to Adrian.
Oh, here's a chatty Cathy, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, never mind. He goes off after this to the Lucky 7 bar, which is a shithole, and goes to visit Paulie. Paulie is just the worst. Is his friend, his like only friend, and the brother of this pet shop girl, Adrian. So that's a whole weird layer to this. As soon as you learn this, it's like, oh no, this is going to go very badly. Yeah, because Paulie's just this like consummate lush drunk guy. Who's pretty awful to basically everyone around him, but he's also like dealing with the hand that he was dealt. Like, he's got a shit life, but he's just sort of trying to make do, and he is also trying to like make changes in his life to improve it. Even though he's making poor decisions, he is like trying to like get out of where he's stuck. So I've got to respect that.
Yeah,
you know? I feel like that's what a lot of characters in this movie are doing. But yeah, anyway.
I think Paulie works as a like an opposite to Rocky though, because any time any adversity comes up, he just like lashes out at everyone and at the situation. Like he, later will break a lamp and stuff because his life didn't change. Whereas Rocky does kind of like, keep going, keep moving.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I don't know. The Paulie situation, like at least in the movie he's supposed to be like a bad guy. Like the actor tried so hard to make Paulie seem self-loathing to the point where he would dab vermouth onto his face and neck because he hated the smell. And then put turpentine all over his hands. So like he'd walk around unable to move his hands and like smelling like something he hated and then still acting, like still being like,
wow,
yeah, let's do this. Yeah.
That's method as fuck.
I know, right? It's wild.
He was working in the like freezing works and was complaining that his hands were like seizing up and stuff, and that was part of his character. Man, that's wild. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like probably the most impressive performance in the movie, I would say. Just because you do really like end up hating this guy, but man.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing, art, that like to hate something means it's successful. Like to hate Paulie means that everyone's done a good job.
It is pretty wild. But like I just like it's just a convincing performance, Like you can assume that this guy probably isn't this way. But yeah.
Yeah, surely.
But yeah, anyway. He's trying to like dig himself out of this hole that he's in. Because he's trying to get this job doing what Rocky's doing for Gazzo. He wants to like get in on this like collection gig that he has going, even though he's like not at all physically suited to do so. He sees that as an out of his situation. And like is constantly trying Rocky to try and get him like to talk to him. And Rocky's trying to protect his friend at the same time, like from Gazzo, because he's not like he feels like he'll get like eaten up and spit out basically. But also he's like doesn't think he should do that. Like it would just be a bad thing all round. Like he doesn't want Gazzo, he doesn't want to lose reputation with Gazzo by introducing this like his awful drunk friend. So it's a pretty rough situation all around, but he still asks him all the time. Anyway, Paulie invites him around for Thanksgiving dinner at their place then the following day, to try and get to know, young Adrian. He's like, because he's talking with Paulie pretty directly about how he's like trying to like get to know her, And Paulie's like, fucking hate her. She's the worst. Like, you're both lowlives that are past your prime, basically, is what Paulie's saying about his own sister and best friend. So, but yeah, he's like, all right, come around for Thanksgiving and we'll set up a time and you can get to know her. And then he's like, okay, cool. Paulie goes off home. He says this multiple times as well, that if he's not back in 10 minutes away from home, then Adrian will call the hospital, because I think assuming that he's like passed out drunk or is like dying because he's such an alcoholic is the implication. And he's like, she's too overprotective. And it's like, you're like this nightmare man. But anyway. So Rocky's still at the bar and sees this advertised fight for Apollo Creed, who's going to take on Mac Lee Green on New Year's Day in Philadelphia. It's this like big prize fight. Apollo Creed being the heavyweight champion of the world, Gareth. And
played by our friend Carl Weathers. Yeah,
Carl Weathers. Great guy. Very great for the role as well, because Apollo is this like showman kind of character who is full of lines to camera in this interview, and is much more about the show than he is about boxing, as we'll come to know, which I think is just like he plays the character really well and is very believable. Even in spite of this, Rocky really respects him because he's the champion of the world, and like says that this guy got a shot at being the champion and he took it, and he laments the fact that he was never given that same shot. And the bartender's like, you suck, man. you could have taken a shot at it. And it's like, fuck, okay. Just really rude. Like, some people just treat him with such disrespect. It's so nasty. Anyway. Rocky leaves the bar after this chastisement and is walking home and comes across like these kids who are hanging out by like local, 7-Eleven kind of situation. And he escorts this 12-year-old girl back to her house that he recognizes, who shouldn't be out with this like bunch of teenagers. And he gives her this like incredibly long and rambling lecture where he is just talking absolute nonsense. But it's about the gist is that no one down the path, if she keeps acting terribly or acting like a good for nothing, people will only remember that reputation and not who you are or were. Is the idea, and that's like very reflective of how he feels about himself, I think, and that he has this hanging over reputation, where people seem to have this opinion of him and know him before, like, they don't even talk to him really, like they only know of him as like a presence, and he only has like Paulie as a friend, and that's it. So yeah, he's just this like creepo guy, this boxer guy. That's a bit dim and everyone knows, but no one really knows, Yeah.
They know of him, but they don't know him.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I think that's the idea of what this lecture's supposed to be, but it's not very like eloquently put, obviously.
No.
And it's very...
On face value, he's just like kind of calling a 12-year-old girl. He calls her a whore, so like...
Yeah.
It's kind of
like a lot of times.
On face value.
Yeah. It's like, you'll never get a boyfriend and you're a whore. And yeah, he doesn't say it well, but I think that's like what he's trying to get at. Anyway.
Yeah.
At the end of the lecture, she calls him a creepo, and he realizes like, who am I to give this advice? Basically, he's like, you're just some fucking creepo, man. It's very sad. It's a very sad sequence. And we're getting like the chorus of us and them just winding down as he's walking away. And that works really well for me. That whole like us and them playing over this sequence of them just walking through cold Philadelphia. Yeah. I like it a lot. But
yeah, it's a cold Philadelphia song,
Yeah, man. he also, as part of this lecture, I just want to call attention to this because I've got a sweet wee image. But yeah, like he says, he's like, you hang out with those coconuts on the corner and you get nowhere if you're hanging out with coconuts. Lemons, they're lemons. And like lemons comes out of fucking left field, man.
Yeah.
He's like, you hang out with yo-yo people, you get yo-yo friends. And it's like, what? What does that mean?
Yeah, he's just hungry at this point. He's like,
yeah.
They walked past like a frozen yogurt place and he's like, oh, I could have gone for a yogurt,
yo-yo,
coconut and lemon. What am I talking about?
Yeah. You're a whore.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Anyway, we cut from this sad scene to the office of Jurgens or Jurgens. It's hard to know. We watched it on mute. Who is the promoter of the Apollo Creed fight? And we're in his office as Apollo Creed's opponent has pulled out because he's broken his hand. And basically all other opponents have also pulled out, citing that 5 weeks before the fight date is too short of a time to prepare, which fair play, it probably is. But
yeah,
Apollo's put a lot of money on the line and advertisement and all kinds of things to get this going. And again, that's all he really cares about. He doesn't care about like the match. He only cares about like the money that he's putting in and getting out of this situation. And yeah, they're frustrated, but Apollo comes up with the idea to have a local boxer be given a shot at the title, like a nobody being able to challenge him. And he states as like a sort of America being a land of opportunity kind of angle, where the everyman has a shot of achieving greatness, etc. So, yeah, Jurgen says that this is very American, which Creed responds with, no, it's very smart, which I found funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plan going forward. It's so funny that they're just in this office saying like, this is such a shit situation. What are we going to do, boys? And they're like, here's what we're going to do, boys. It's really good.
Yeah, it's also like, I guess it's just the weirdness of boxing as a sport being fighting, but it's essentially like, no one who can fight you wants to fight you. And it's like, all right, let me just beat up the everyman now. Like, it's like if Rocky became the mayor, beat up every historical figure, and then just came for us.
Exactly. Mate, we aren't doing anything. We just talked about you once. Chill out, mate. Oh my God. You don't need to fight
it's his
me.
show.
I can't even fight. 5 weeks is not enough time, Rocky.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, I shouldn't have mentioned that I was a white belt. Like, he knows I've got training.
You've got fighting experience.
Yeah.
You know? I got flipped once, so maybe I could go the distance with Rocky. I just get flipped multiple times, and then for 15 rounds, and then we're fine. You know?
He's just got you on a string. You're the yo-yo.
Oh,
He's
man.
just flipping you up and down.
One of his yo-yo friends. Oh, God. I love it. Okay. But yeah, so Rocky's just like doing more jobs for Gazzo, but Buddy's still being really rude to him. And I do love the explanation from Gazzo because he like separates this guy. So he's getting like yelled over by these two idiots either side of him. And he just explains things to Rocky being like, listen, some guys just hate for no reason, all right? Capiche? And it's just like so eloquent. Like Buddy's right next to him and he's like, he's just fucking hating for no reason, man. Just pay him no mind. You know? It's so good. So many internet interactions could be explained away with this exact line. It's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, so we cut back to Apollo Creed, who's looking through like the books of local fighters and pulls Rocky's name out of the lineup, mainly because he likes his tagline, the Italian Stallion. He doesn't care about any of the like actual facts about this guy. He knows that he'll fight him and beat him because he's the champion of the world, obviously. And he chose him because of the like marketing buzzword stuff over any of this actual information. They even say like, this guy's a southpaw. It's not going to be a good fight. Southpaw meaning that he is left-handed. He favors his left hand. So which can throw boxers off if they are mismatching hands. So it might not be as good of a fight because of that. And he doesn't care about that at all. He only cares about the Italian stallion. It just goes to show with his character there. Yeah. We go into Any Color You Like now, the vibe, and which is my subtitle for that track. We're going to Paulie's house for this awful Thanksgiving situation that is about to begin. He assures Rocky the whole time that Adrian knows that he's coming, which is a huge lie, because when they come in, she's like cooking Thanksgiving dinner and like fucking panics, hides in the kitchen, and then runs and hides in her room. And she's like, Paulie's like trying to convince her to come out and like go out with Rocky on Thanksgiving, like go out on a date. Fucking wild. And she's like, no, it's Thanksgiving. I cooked a turkey. And to this, Paulie like pulls the turkey out of the oven and throws it into the street. What an asshole.
I know.
I was furious. That's just pigeons eating away at that now. There's nothing, Oh, brutal. He's still holding a turkey leg as he's like, well, I tried, Rocky, now you can try. And it's like, fuck off, Paulie. You've done a terrible job here. You're the worst, the worst help to get a date ever.
No, don't have Thanksgiving with me. Turkey's out the window. Now you have to date my friend.
Yeah, date my weird friend who comes to visit you every day at your job. Who you don't want to talk to. Anyway. So Rocky awkwardly tries to convince her to come out with him, like talking through the door. He's feeling uncomfortable about the situation. He's like, this fucking sucks. I shouldn't have to try and like ask her out through a locked door. That's pretty clear signals. Even Rocky knows that don't do this. But eventually she just opens the door, ready to go on this date, dressed up like she's got a hat and coat on, ready to go. Because it's pretty clear that she has basically no say in this matter, because these two fucking jerks aren't going to let her do anything. And she's a very shy person, She doesn't want to do this, but she's just like, well, my brother's making me do it, I guess. Fuck.
It's the only way to end this situation is by doing it, pretty much.
Sucks. This whole scene is exceptionally hard to watch, and it's only going to get worse, really. We head into Eclipse now as Rocky takes her to the ice skating rink, which is closed because it's Thanksgiving night. There's a guy out here on a Zamboni who I appreciate. He's just hanging out. Presumably they had people here during the day, but whatever. But he convinces this guy to let them on the ice. I think he cites her as having bad health, which is shady as fuck. Didn't like that, Rocky.
He says she's dying and this was her last wish or something. Or no, I think it might just be that she's sick.
Something like that. It's still not good. But anyway, he pays him $10 to let them on the ice for 10 minutes. And what proceeds is a fast motion speed date on the ice with her on ice skates, Rocky just walking on the ice. With the owner in the background just loudly proclaiming the time they have left. Way sped up as well. I'm pretty sure they get 2 minutes on the ice. But anyway, it's a very awkward date in general. Rocky is just sort of going off, talking all about himself, explaining all kinds of situations that he's been through.
Just exclusively boxing, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Just talking a lot about here's everything you need to know about me since you were never asked. Basically, is the gist of this date. We do get some information where he is proud of being a boxer, but he feels that you'd have to be completely mad to pursue being a boxer. That's why he does it as a hobby. He also doesn't lament not being given a shot truly. He's like, he still like enjoys it, and that's why he keeps going with it. And he keeps like sentimental photos of his previous fights, even though like they're photos of fights that he's lost and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes across as very awkward, but like earnest on the date is how I describe it. If I'm doing a date review, my date review podcast.
This is when you come back from your date with Rocky and you're like, oh, he was awkward but earnest, you know?
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, she like starts like sort of opening up to him a little bit. She's responding to his things that he's saying, which is fucking progress for their relationship.
It's the bare minimum of progress, though. It's like if you put a rug on top of a floor and told me it was the ceiling.
Exactly. It's not a
I'm going to
fun...
try to sell that saying to Judge Judy, by the way. I'm really proud of that.
All right. Get her on the phone. Sorry. Judy, call me up. But yeah, it's a hard watch. It is fun watching a man like struggle on the ice.
Yeah.
But you know, the date like culminates with him saying the like advice that made him become a boxer, which was his father said that he wasn't born with much of a brain, so he better learn to use his body. And Adrian says that she basically got the same advice but in reverse, which is very sad. Just in general. And yeah, we like this date also for us plays out over eclipse into nothing. Like we're getting like the sad heartbeats over this date, and it's just makes it much more awkward. You know? It's already tense. But anyway,
this was the part where friend of the show Maddie stopped watching the movie, and good on her because she then missed this next scene.
Oh yeah, we aren't done yet, listeners, because we're going to breathe, and we are heading home. Rocky is like continuing on talking about like how both her shyness and his dumbness are sort of like afflictions that they're suffering from. But yeah, they rock up to his house and he's like, come on in, come on in, come inside. And she's like, no, I will not do that. And he just like asks her over and over and over again. It ain't great. And she like eventually like relents and comes inside. Fucking hell. I feel like this scene, like, it wouldn't have played even different in the 70s. Like, this is just not how it's done, fam.
Yeah.
It's not good. She comes in, his place is a goddamn mess. I didn't notice this.
Terrifying.
It's got like a knife stuck in the wall.
Right?
I didn't notice this earlier, but he's got like empty beer bottles wedged into his couch, like into the back of his couch. Fucking Jesus, dude. You live like this?
Like just loose, like it's not quite newspaper, but it looks like the paper you'd wrap fish and chips in now that they stopped using newspaper, just like piled all over his couch.
Yep.
And then weirdly, like a Renaissance painting is stuck up, like a little print of one, which just kind of like if that was in a clean room, you'd be like, oh, okay, guy likes art. But when it's surrounded by beer bottles and a knife in a wall, you're like, oh,
no,
murderer?
Maybe. But yeah, so she's just sort of standing in the kitchen while all this plays out because she is incredibly uncomfortable. He introduces the pets that he bought from her when they first met as like these great parts of his life that he cherishes. It makes his life seem so small and so sad. But yeah, she like is like, do you have a phone? Can I call my brother and tell him where I am? And he's like, nah, I don't have a phone. This is an awful situation. And like we get the crash sound on the run for the second time as he like calls out the window, like as a joke, being like, oh, Paulie, your sister's here with me. She's totally fine. And it's like, okay. Yeah, she's feeling like very vulnerable and unsafe in this guy's apartment and wants to leave, makes a move to leave, and he like pins her in the corner and like forces a kiss onto her. Ugh.
Yeah. She even outright says, "I'm uncomfortable." And yeah.
Ugh. Like the movie is trying to play this as her being shy. And like she is fair play, she is shy. But like this is still like rape. Pretty much. Like it's not good. He also, I want to note here, so like they kiss and like they are in a relationship for the rest of this movie based on this, which is the worst way to start a relationship, but hey. He takes her glasses off for this as well, and she doesn't wear glasses for the rest of the movie, importantly.
Rocky's kiss, man, cured her vision.
I guess so, but like, yeah, that's just an interesting, like, this half of the movie versus the other half kind of thing. Also, them kissing is playing out over the ominous incoming chords of time, which is, Pink Floyd knows what's happening. They're like, this is not good. Look out. But yeah.
Yeah, because there's alarm clocks going off during this date as well.
Yeah. All the alarm bells ringing.
Just like they are in every viewer's head.
Yeah, this is a very difficult sequence to watch. Like from the like Thanksgiving scene onwards is the hardest part of the movie. Like it's kind of wild that this stuff is the like more intense stuff than the harrowing boxing match that takes place in this movie. Like where two men get beat into absolute shit. But there you go. This is what affected me. But anyway.
Yeah, same. I feel like you could cut this scene or just like, I don't know. They're doing I think this week, as of us recording, they've just released a Rocky IV director's cut, which apparently like Stallone got back in the booth and removed the robot and did all this other stuff. Like if he's doing that, just jump back in.
Yeah.
Control X this scene right out and we'll be fine. Like, I don't know. It's because their relationship afterwards is quite nice. Like,
it is.
We don't
That's
need
the
to
thing.
know. Yeah.
This like awful, terrible, messy bit. Like, honestly, you're right. You could have cut straight from like the end of the ice skating sequence, and I probably would have believed it. I would have figured it out that they're like, they were kind of opening it up to each other at the end of that scene. I'm like, okay, cool. And then later on, I see them together, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're together. Like, I would have, that would have been fine. I didn't need this horrible, like, forcing himself, like, huge muscular guy forcing himself on this terrified woman. Like, no good. Anyway.
It's interesting as well, the actress had a really bad cold when they were filming this scene, so that's, like, also kind of playing into it, like, they're unintentionally making the creepiest scene in the world, is the fact that she legitimately didn't want to get Sylvester Stallone in the cruise sick.
Oh, that's quite sweet, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad that's like that's a breath of fresh air after describing that sequence, Gareth. Thank you.
It's very rarely that a cold provides a breath of fresh air, but you know.
Oh, just a bit of levity, you know.
Yeah.
Oh god. Anyway, we're about to get into the rest of the movie, which is like it's more uphill. Like downhill from here, I'd say rather. Anyway, because
downhill in a good way, like running downhill is
running downhill is easier in that kind of way. Yeah. The movie's gonna be better from here, listeners. I'm sorry for my confusing metaphor.
Honestly, like you could just start the movie from here as well.
Yeah, you totally could. Oh man.
I would lose any point. I'm willing to give up any points as a like cinema expert for saying that. But yeah,
you're so good.
Yeah.
Just with this proposal of the idea. Oh man. Anyway, we go to the gym and the boss is looking for him. Mickey. He's like, there's this note from this guy Juergens because Apollo Creed is looking for sparring partners. He's like, oh cool. He's probably looking for sparring partners. It's like I just fucking said that, dude. And then like he confronts Mickey about why he gets given such a hard time, and Mickey's like, well, it's because you fucking work for Gazzo, man. I don't respect you because you are a fighter and you are like going out and like breaking people's thumbs, man. Like that is not what a fighter should be doing. And like this not I have no respect for that. And fair enough. He calls him out in front of like the whole gym. Everyone's looking on. Everyone knows Rocky, so they're all like, gee, okay. But yeah, so he calls him out right here. And that's sort of the like last word from Mickey for the moment, which is interesting. But anyway, he goes to see Jurgens. I still want to say Jurgens. I don't know. It's really tough with the J's. I get in trouble with soft J's. I always am saying, people keep calling me James. Oh no, it's always tough. But anyway, he's very nervous.
If you're getting it wrong, you can trade it for one James from any listener who finds you on the streets.
All right, thank goodness.
When all our listeners are hanging around a fire, crooning and singing, and
they're all
see you
singing
go by,
Creed.
they're all going to yell James. Yeah.
Oh man, but yes, he's very nervous about sparring with Apollo Creed, but he's like, yeah, but I'll agree to it. And then Jurgens like, no, boy, you misunderstand me. Jurgens has the funniest sort of like, he's from like the 1910s and has just appeared in this movie. He hasn't changed since then. He's like got that thing where his mouth at the corner is like fused shut to the point where he talks like a wise guy all the time. I love him. But yeah, he's like, no, you misunderstand me. You're going to fight. You're going to a chance at the championship title. You'll fight Apollo Creed. And Rocky's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's insane. And we do get the tempo change in time as he says no, which I do appreciate as well. And like as if like Rocky's heart has stopped or has like skipped a beat kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like, he doesn't think he's good enough for that. And Jurgens is like, it's a golden opportunity. And like, no one is going to get this chance ever again. Like, you need to take it. It's a once in a lifetime chance. And we sort of get a zoom in on Rocky's face. And then we cut to like a press conference after he's like already agreed. Where Adrian and Paulie and him are all watching it on TV as we get into Great Gig. And he gets like vaguely made fun of on TV by Apollo Creed, who is like, they're announcing this upcoming bout. They're like building hype for it. And Rocky comes across as sort of this like dumb guy who's just like, oh, well, I guess I'll have to do the best I can. That's... You know, it's so funny that he's like about to win the hearts of the whole nation. But and he's like, Paulie's saying that like they're taking cheap shots at him, and he's like, they don't bother me, it's fine. And also Paulie's angling, being like, oh, you need a trainer, you need someone to help you. And Rocky's like, no one's helped me up until this point. I'll help myself, thanks. I'll be all good. Don't worry about it. And Paulie like flies into a fucking rage. And like at not being needed, and like runs into the kitchen complaining, wanting to get himself a beer. But and so Rocky goes home, and Adrian is like gives him a kiss goodbye because he shouts her out on TV. He's like, Adrian, what's up? It's me, Rocky. And she. He admits that the things that were said on TV did in fact bother him. He's still upset about it. Fucking Gazzo appears and gives him $500 just for training expenses. Shout out to Gazzo. Like,
right?
Loan shark, but like, just like, hears about this thing and he's like, my boy Rocky, man, he's going to need some help. I'm going to give him $500. Like, it doesn't even like get him to pay it back or whatever because he's the heavy. Who's he gonna send? Like, it's so good.
True.
But yeah, like, I fucking like shout outs Gazzo, and then like he goes off. That's all he wanted to do. He just wanted to give him money to like help him out. Goes back to his car, and Rocky's like, "You're gonna come to the fight, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'll be ringside, absolutely." So, come on, he's supporting the boy. I'm stoked. I'm stoked to hear it.
I wonder if, like, this film was such a struggle for them to finance. I wonder if it's got this, like, pro-mob or, like, small-town crook kind of angle because a small-town crook ponied up some money for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this movie was criticized of that in some of the reviews, where it was like, where people thought there was, like, it hinges on almost like a pro-mob angle. Because there's this sympathetic character Gazzo who doesn't really get any kind of comeuppance. So that was definitely a criticism at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. But we get a fairly rough scene again now, because this scene like cut me to my core, man. This is so sad because as we get into money, Mickey comes a-calling at Rocky's house. He comes up the stairs and tries to convince Rocky to be his manager and to train him for the big fight that's coming up. And he's like, "Oh man, I've been through it all. I've been at this gig doing it for ages." And he also first of all doesn't apologize for how he's treated Rocky like up until now, and refuses to eat humble pie basically for like it. Yeah, he doesn't apologize. He doesn't even own up to it. He's just like, "Oh, you got a shot at the big one. It's complete luck. Everyone's better than you. Like all these other guys, and you're the guy that gets the chance. Isn't that crazy?" And it's like, Rocky's like, yeah, it's crazy. All right. And he's talking about all this history that he has and why he'd be a great manager. And it's just the classic, like, guy who wins the lottery and then all these people come crawling out of the woodwork. Like, it would have been so much worse for Rocky if he had more people in his life. I feel like, because like these guys just keep coming for him, like, and trying to like weasel stuff out of him, basically. And Rocky like delivers, like he knows exactly what's going on, and like delivers this indictment saying like that he has heart, but he doesn't have a locker, does he? Like I needed you 10 years ago. Where were you then? Pretty rough. And then he like hides in the bathroom, waiting for Mickey to go away. And Mickey like he is desperate because he's been at this. He's like, he is being honest in that like he's been at this for so long, and he has this moment where he like puts his head on the door and he's like, "I'm 76 years old. Like I don't have any more shots. This is my shot. Like your shot is the only shot that I will ever have, and I've already thrown it away." And it's this awful, like, crushing moment of this guy, like, admitting to himself that he's blown it, and he's like, he's really, like, in being so callous, he has, he's like thrown away this chance of like doing something good. It's really awful. And like he sees a lot of himself in Rocky, I think, and then just like realizes that he is a nobody just as much as Rocky is, and treats him the same way. Like, it's brutal. And Rocky's like, "No, get out of here." And Mickey goes and leaves, and Rocky's just like fucking yelling abuse at him. He's just shouting at him, and like Mickey is like walking down the stairs and out onto the street, and Rocky's just like screaming that he like never did anything for him, and like he only comes calling like now when he's like got this shot at a championship, and also the shot means nothing because he's gonna get his face kicked in. He says he's like, there's no point. Like, you can train me or whatever. Like, even if you did train me, it wouldn't make a difference. Like, it's really tough. And you just hear this. Well, you would hear if we weren't hearing Pink Floyd. Him just like screaming this out onto the street, like from inside his house, you can still hear him. And we see Mickey walking away, like very upset. And eventually, like over silence, like in the movie, we just see Rocky come out of his house and chase after Mickey, and then they shake hands and make an accord. Like, you don't have any dialogue of him agreeing, which I love. I think this is such a powerful sequence in the movie. just this like moment of self-realization, and then like furious anger followed by like acceptance and willing to move forward. It's so it's great. Like this one shot is easily my favorite in the whole film.
It's really nice. Like, it's such a well done scene, and they like nothing's too overplayed to the point where like when Mickey gives his big speech, or his side of the big speech, like there's a toilet flush like during it, and all this stuff, like all this little like just slice of life kind of stuff to undercut the melodrama, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. It's still an intense scene, but like it's just Rocky is just still himself, like. And just he's been burned, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna give you the chance, and then flies off the handle at him, and like he sees, I think like he opens the door and he sees that Mickey's like crying, and then shuts the door again because he thinks that he's left, and then I think that's like why eventually he like comes around, but anyway, we cut to the training from here. The beginning of the training. He eats a bunch of fucking raw eggs, which looks so gross. And then
those eggs, like, I know that's what this film's famous for, but those eggs just keep coming.
Oh my god! Yeah, he eats like 8 eggs or something for breakfast, raw. It's so wild.
And he's just like an animated GIF. He's just completely still, except for his arm that's going up and cracking these eggs.
Yeah. Just motionless, listening to this awful, like, 5 a.m. morning radio.
And
then, he goes for,
that was my harrowing scene.
Fair enough. Just eating way too many eggs.
Yeah.
Something you haven't done in a long time, presumably.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, man. But he eats those eggs, gets those eggs done, and then goes for a jog around Philadelphia, doing a bit of shadow boxing, and goes up to the Philadelphia Museum of Modern Art, home to the Rocky steps, because of this movie. But he's struggling on these steps for this first one. We'll get the proper Rocky steps coming up, because he gets like Stitch, which cracked me up.
I thought, like, is this the famous scene when it was happening? I was like, it's really different to how pop culture's played it. And then, like, later, of course, you get the real one. You're like, oh, thank God.
Nah, we get the mirror. Later on. It's all good. Also, tracksuit update, tracksuit watch with James Barron. Hello, welcome to the podcast within the podcast. We've got Rocky in the tracksuit. His tracksuit look, one of multiple. I value this over his like weird street beatnik look, which we briefly mentioned, where he looks like sort of a mixture between a Greaser and a Clockwork Orange character.
The fedora and the leather.
Yeah, just tossing a ball around. Bizarre. But this look, his training look, he's wearing like all grey. He's got his like boxing hand bandages on, even though he doesn't need to because he's just jogging. And also he's running in Chuck Taylors, which is not a running shoe, but fair enough.
No, worried about those ankles, bro.
Yeah, man. Watch yourself. No wonder he needs to do that like bad balance thing later on. But anyway, so we get another tracksuit character with me, JB.
No, I thought this was his best look.
Yeah,
just something 100%. About it being a little too layered. It was really nice.
Yeah, this is the Rocky costume you wear to Halloween if you've got like a small amount of body confidence issues, because you just you just dress in the tracksuit and everyone's like, oh, you're Rocky in training sequence. I see. You're not Rocky during the prize fight. You know, it's all good. You could be
next year. The next year, when you're feeling sassier, you wear Rocky as in the training thing, and it's like, the costumes told a story.
Exactly. Or you could wear him in his like weird beatnik outfit. You know, where he's a member of the street Pentatonics or whatever. But anyway, so we go and visit Paulie at work, who is again angling for this job, and like sort of tries to like leverage Adrian into the equation. basically like being real gross about her virginity and stuff. It's no good, but Paulie's like expressing his frustration at being stuck. All he wants is like for Rocky to throw him a bone and like get him out of this situation, even though he got himself in there, and like wants to like fucking fight him but can't because it's Rocky. And Rocky like moves him aside and then starts like beating up one of these hanging cow carcasses in the freezing works, which becomes his like very weird training regiment for some reason. Like presumably we hear still be like, actually that felt pretty good at the end of this sequence.
I was waiting for that scene, like him to go like, hey, like maybe him and Paulie both look at each other and like do a big grin, like, oh, we've got
like
something.
Maybe we're onto something here, but no, that doesn't happen. It's so strange.
Very strange.
He also gets his like hands covered in gross like cow blood, which you know, I don't know if that's good for your training. But anyway, he goes home and then Adrian like tends to his fucking messed up hands, and he says that he like can't fool around with her, quote unquote, until he's done with his training, and like apologizes to her, and they like hug in the hallway, proving that like he does care. They actually have like a proper nice relationship from this point, really. Yeah, it's really weird.
Fascinating is the through line that he can't like fool around while he's in training, and like Mickey's always saying like women weaken the legs, and like you have to be like this weird like monk for training. It's just this interesting like very 70s, very sex is scary kind of thing, like hidden in there.
Yeah, so like there's sort of this weird like mysticism to the training that has to take place. There's a lot of like rituals that they do, and he's got this weird method that he does. Mickey's got all kinds of ideas like with the string. A lot, you know. So we go to hit that training where he's got the string between his ankles to improve his balance, and we're going into brain damage. And I just want to call out a couple of Mickey's lines from this scene, because the way he speaks is very funny to me when he's not like very upset. Because he says, if you follow this regimen, you become a very dangerous person, which is very fun. Like an old pirate. Just the idea of becoming a dangerous person is the end goal here is great.
Yeah.
Also, a couple of girls, like random people, come to get Rocky's autograph because he's a public figure now. And it's like, move your chicken asses out of here. Which is hilarious old man bullshit. So funny.
So weird that those girls just got into the gym as well.
Oh, yeah. They snuck on in to get Rocky Balboa's signature. We haven't really seen much of it, but like, Rocky is like becoming more and more well known across the country because of this. Like he's still very much an unknown, but the people like in the neighborhood knew him before and now know him even more. Like people are seeking him out because he's sort of become this like even more, his reputation has grown to like even more mythical status because of this bizarre event. We see that Adrian has bought like some nice new clothes. Presumably the payout has come through from this boxing match. And because she's bought Butkus, the dog, to be a gift. They're all like hanging out together. As they go inside, I do like that she says, Rocky's like, man, what do big dogs like this even eat? And she's like, they eat little turtles. So she's got jokes, man. Pretty good.
She's such a good, like, once the film stops being creepy, she's such a good character, and she's so like well acted. Like, it's just a shame that had to have that
awful bit. He's doing this training with Butkus and Toro now, and then goes to have an interview on the news. because Paulie's like brought them around to try and build publicity. He's like trying to help, quote unquote, but really he's trying to like, again, dig himself out of the hole by having this interview take place in his like meat area. Yeah. Promoting his own business and also like the training method that he and Rocky came up with, you see. So yeah, it's mostly about him. But yeah, we go into Eclipse and the silence between the playthrough 2 and 3 as he's having this interview. As we like before we go into Eclipse, we get the ad lib. I can't think of anything to say just as this interview starts, which is pretty apropos. And yeah, Paulie's like trying to poke his little head out in the background of the shot, trying to get involved in the interview. And yeah, we see this interview play out, and it's intercut with Apollo Creed's like manager, I guess, or like friend, watching this play out on TV. Apollo's caught up in the fight's promotion and how much money he's going to be earning and versus how much he's spending. They're talking all the kinds of figures and things, and the promotion of the fight in Canada and all kinds of crap.
And sending flowers to the mayor at one point. Yeah.
And this manager guy is watching and being like, he's suddenly worried that Apollo may actually have a fight on his hands because he sees Rocky beating up this hunk of meat and showing off like decent form. And he's like, oh shit, like you may actually have a fight. But yeah, as soon as Eclipse finishes, Rocky finishes fighting this thing and like just holds up his bloody hands for the like chords of Eclipse waning out into the heartbeats. But yeah, it's much more sinister as we go into it. But yeah, again, another bleak scene where like over the silence into playthrough 3, we've got Paulie coming home on Christmas. I only know it's Christmas because he's holding a Christmas wreath in his hand. Hilarious. But he's obviously drunk off his ass, and he comes in and overhears Adrian and Rocky talking about him behind his back, kind of, but like saying, like Rocky's saying, I don't want to give him the collection job. I don't want to recommend him to Gazzo because of all reasons, you know? Yeah. And he's like, fuck you guys. I don't need anything from you. I never wanted anything from you. And just as we are going into Breathe, this is a hugely mismatched scene because he just starts beating up, threatening them and beating up furniture with a bat. Like going absolutely spare, just, saying like, look how much I've done for you, Rocky. I give you meat all the time. I've given you my sister. And Adrian fucking flips out at him. Saying like, fuck you, man. Like I cook for you, I clean for you. Like you're a good for nothing drunk, basically. And like the fact that you're trying to say, oh, poor me, look how much I do for you is fucking bullshit. And fair enough. So yeah, they have this huge fight and she runs off and he's like, Paulie's about to like chase after her with a bat, but Rocky intervenes and like pins him down. And yeah, it's real messed up. And she like moves into his place after this because Paulie sucks. Fair enough. Yeah. So she's now staying in the like weird nightmare apartment that he has. Yeah, sleeping under a knife jammed into the wall. You know.
Finding out that it's actually there for like a weird sundial reason. It's like, hey, it's my alarm. It's my alarm clock. Once the sun of the nut leaf hits me in the eyes, I wake up.
Oh my god. I love that. Oh, the knife sundial is very powerful. Yeah. We just get like a bit of a montage now. Not the montage, but Mickey doing training at nighttime where he's like, we've got a chance. Like, you've got a shot at the championship. You can do it. Paulie comes in again here. This is probably sometime later. Comes in. He's like, I've got another idea to make some money. He's like, if I use your name, we can advertise my business on like your jacket, you know, on your walkout jacket. And Rocky's like, just, use my name for whatever. I don't care. Like, it's all good. because it like Paulie is his friend and he does want to look out for him, but it's just like he's a fucking dick, like you know. So there you go. So he will have on his walkout jacket this like weird Meatworks logo on the back, but there you go. Nothing much comes from that. We go into On the Run for the iconic jogging montage.
Yes.
We are on the run as he is on the run.
Right?
Gareth. Yes. It's like, it's heightened. It's like, because we would be usually having the Rocky theme play over this. Yeah, it's still a good fit because this is the running sequence for Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. So pretty happy about that. Also, this montage is the montage. If you think about a montage, this is where it gets its DNA, I think. This is the montage. Because it's got it all. It's like even the song is sort of a parody of what's happening in the scene. It's like getting stronger, like we're gonna fly now, you know. Like it's a good song. I'm not trying to poo-poo the song. I'm just saying that it's like talking about exactly what's happening in the thing. It's great.
It's so interesting because everyone remembers Eye of the Tiger as being part of this, but it's not actually. It's in the third Rocky, I think, is Eye of the Tiger. And like, you remember the eggs being part of this montage as well, but it's all, It's how powerful Rocky was, is that like his own rip-offs of his own montages are the iconic montages of the day now. If someone tries to tell you French cinema invented montages, you just tell them, no, it was my friend Rocky.
It was old mate Rocky.
And if you say that again, he'll come for you.
He'll chase you down. He'll punch you out of history. Oh man, but we get the crash sound as we get the iconic part. He's running up the stairs, taking multiple at a time. He's fucking sprinting past a ship before this as well. Like it's crazy,
so fast.
But he reaches the top and then throws his hands into the air. Love it. You were saying, sorry.
No, you can't fault it. It's iconic for its many reasons. Like,
yeah, man.
And to hear this, this crash and this kind of on the run vibe to it, it's it's a lot like Rocky's life. Not a lot has been going right. Now it all seems to be coming in. We're finally getting some syncs in this movie.
We're reaching ahead finally. As you well spotted.
Will they continue?
We'll see. But we do get one more because the clocks chime in and it's New Year's Eve, baby. They are coming in. It's the middle of the night and poor Rocky can't sleep. His eyes are wide open as he's staring at the wall and his mirror because he's got all kinds of like newspaper headlines there now. Like time has passed. We're at the fight basically. And he goes down. We see Adrian is sleeping next to him in his like little hole in the wall kind of bed. And he goes down to visit the ring before the fight. And we get this fantastic like over the shoulder shot of him looking up at this banner of Apollo Creed, which is awesome. And like then him walking around the center of the ring, rotating around and then coming face to face with like the banner of himself. Again, I think this is like a reputation versus who he really is kind of thing because Jurgens comes out and is like, oh, what are you doing here? And Rocky's like, hey, my shorts are wrong on the banner. I'm wearing white with a red stripe, not red with white stripe. And Jurgens is like, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? And I feel like that's like really clearly stating that like it doesn't like that's the character up there. That's the character. What's real doesn't matter. Like that's Rocky up there. Like it's his reputation has outpaced him because of this insane situation. But
yeah. The actual fight means different things to the world than it means to Rocky.
Exactly, yeah. That's absolutely right. Everyone's saying, and we get like him exploring how he feels about that as he goes home and talks to Adrian, and he's like, he realizes, I have no chance of winning. I'm not going to win. And he's like, I can't beat Apollo Creed. He's the champion of the world, and everyone's saying that Rocky has a chance, but he knows that he doesn't have a chance. There's no way. And he's like, I've always been a nobody, and I always will be, but that's okay. He's like, he's actually like fine with it, and he's like, all he wants to do is just go the distance with Creed, is what he says. He wants to prove that he can keep standing up and keep fighting, even though he's being beaten down the whole time. It's like it's a metaphor for his life, right? He's like, he just wants to prove that he can keep going, and that's what it's really about. It's not about winning, because he's given up on winning. It's really interesting. Like, it's and it like he is like, he's sad, but he's also like accepted. He's in the acceptance stage of grief here. But and this like sequence plays out over times, like solo and guitar solo going into the like second chorus. It just really works like tonally for me. I really liked it.
What's great is we got all of that deep stuff, but the reason his shorts are different color was actually a mistake on set, and they just had to write it into the script.
Incredible.
Right?
Oh man, that's classic English teacher James here, just reading too much into a scene. Woo!
No, it's great. Like, that's the beauty of film, is that it's one of the only things where you have to adapt to, like, that you kind of have to adapt to stuff changing like that, and you just end up making something that blows people's minds 40-something years later.
Yeah. There you go. Well.
Yeah.
I still don't feel great about me reading too much into it, but never mind. I've given up on victory, Gareth. We've got to forge ahead. I'm going the distance. Anyway, we go into... there's nothing more to say, Gareth, because we're going into the fight. It's fight time. Both parties are preparing backstage here, getting ready. There's like a very quick back and forth between them, and we get Pink Floyd at the end of time sing "Calls the Faithful to Their Knees" as Rocky kneels before the sink and gives a little bit of a prayer. So that's a sink at the sink.
Yeah.
Pretty happy about that. But yeah, we go into great gig now, and he tells Adrian to like stay behind because he doesn't want her to watch him get like beat up, and fair enough. But anyway, so she's gonna hang out here, and he says like, "Don't leave town." LOL.
Yeah.
But anyway, we see Rocky coming out into the ring. And he's got like not really a like grandiose intro where he's coming in just with like his like outfit on, and he's got his crew with his crew. The crew are all wearing hilarious like pink dressing gown looking jackets with Rocky emblazoned on the back in red, which is just such a bizarre like color choice, but it is iconic for the movie. I feel like this like inspired so many things going forward. Like I feel like the fucking Punch Out, the coach in that wears pink outfits because of this film.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny that just this whole crew are like in bright pink, but I love it. It looks like it's like felt or something as well.
That weird like towel material. Probably.
Yeah. But they're just the trainers. Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just found it funny. But he's like going out and shaking hands with his fans and stuff, and then going to the ring and just waiting. And Apollo Creed comes out, and he's got like a fucking grandiose WWE intro where he is riding in a boat, a big prop boat, with a lady dressed as the Empire State Building, and he's dressed as George Washington and is tossing tossing like coins into the crowd. Fucking Jesus, dude. It's pretty hammy. Like, he comes into the ring and then changes outfits and becomes Uncle Sam and pointing into the audience, screaming and at Rocky saying, "We want you, I want you." And it's like, dude, we get it. Like, this is a hat on a hat kind of thing. You already had one intro. Settle down, mate.
And the fact, just, like, again, the commenters are also explaining it. They're like, he's saying we want you, like Uncle Sam would say in his posters.
Yeah, exactly. They're like trying to pass what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah.
Again, Apollo Creed is much more about the show than he is about the fight. And it's just, that is so clear here. It's really funny. This like whole sequence is, there are cutaways to Rocky and his trainers in the background who are just like laughing and just sort of watching this happen, being like, okay, well, that's a bit much, but fair enough. They're just like, oh man, okay. They just are part of the audience for that scene. Very good. But yeah, we go from here as Jurgens introduces Joe Frazier. God, never mind. I've given up on all names.
Fair enough.
Who is a real life boxer who has come to do like an intro or be like a ref, I think, for this bout. Don't know. He's here and he gets this like special introduction and goes over to see Apollo Creed and is like, and Rocky's like, oh, they must be friends, which is real funny. And then, we get into money and there's the contenders get introduced. We go over the rules and the fight is on, Gareth. It's fight time. We've got about 15 minutes left of the movie, maybe. And we have the final fight. It's like we get into like the sax solo of money. We have the first 2 rounds playing out. Pretty much unadulterated, like pretty uncut here. It starts off with like Rocky taking some licks to the face as they're like, he's sort of sizing up his opponent, and Apollo is like way faster and way lighter on his feet than Rocky is. Just hitting him with these like ultra fast jabs and sort of just toying with him. And Rocky is like swinging wide because he's so much slower. But eventually he gets one hit in and knocks Apollo to the floor, like with his first punch that connects.
Yeah.
And it's because Apollo wasn't taking this seriously at all. And Rocky is taking it seriously. Like Apollo was taking it like, was fighting very loose and very silly, just messing with him, and then takes one punch and goes down. And it's like, you're the champion of the world. That shouldn't happen, you know? That hurts your credibility. He like doesn't get up until the count of 8. So shit is serious now. That could have been it. Like, could have been one punch and you're done, you know? 2 more seconds. Holy shit. Anyway, he starts taking the fight seriously, puts Rocky in the corner, just starts like wailing on him, and they get separated by the ref, and then the very next like interaction they have is the complete opposite. Rocky puts Apollo Creed in the corner and it's just like wailing on him with these like huge haymaker kind of styles. He fights like an ape, Gareth.
He's got heart though.
Yeah, right on the bell of the first round ending, Rocky gets punched in the face and it breaks his nose for the first time. Which is, rough. He was proud of not breaking his nose, but so these guys have both taken pretty heavy hits in the opening rounds here, and they go back in there, and basically this next round is just Rocky taking a million punches and then getting like singular blows in when they count, like sending Apollo to the ropes when he gets a hit, and it's like a powerful hit. Then we get like sort of a cutaway sequence where the rounds are like montaged together, where we get bits of the fight coming through, these guys taking horrible hits, going all the way into the 14th round of the fight, which is so long. And yeah, these guys are just like bleeding and bruised and battered all over. They look awful.
This is where most of the film's budget was to make them look this messed up.
Yeah, the makeup is fairly convincing, even for the time. They look messed up, and they're acting. They're like sweating all over. They look like fucking awful. Rocky gets knocked down to the floor, and his coach is telling him to stay down because this is a goddamn bloodbath. But of course, Rocky gets back up. He can barely keep his eyes open at this point because he's been beaten so badly. Poor Adrian comes out of the back room to see what the fuck's happening because this fight has gone on so long. She's like, where's my boy? And she's like watching this final round now. And yeah, Rocky's refusing to give up. He gives one punch, shattering one of Apollo Creed's ribs. And so he's goes back to his corner. Apollo's there, clutching at his side in pain. Both sides want to call this fight. The trainers are like, guys, let's not keep going, please. And both of them are like, we can't end. Apollo can't end the fight because he's champion, and giving up would make Rocky champion. So that ain't happening. And Rocky won't give up because he won't give up. And yeah, they have to cut through his eyelids so that he can see. Ugh. Yeah. Hated that.
Both times this happened, I just covered my eyes.
Yep.
Or one time I just covered the screen. My eyes not going near my hands.
Not a fun watch, that part. Not good. It's over quick, but anything to do with a knife near the eye. Not good.
Please no.
But yeah, we go into the 15th and final round as we are in us and them, and these guys are just sizing each other up. They're just facing each other down. No one's making any swings because these guys are just so tired and beaten to shit as Pink Floyd sing Black and Blue. Yeah. So there you go. They know what's up. And yeah, Rocky just, as for this final round, just gets in on Apollo Creed and is just punching the shit out of him, sends him to the ropes, and basically knocks him out on the bell. He's still standing, but you can see that he would have gone down. Had there been maybe 10 seconds more, this would have been a knockout, 100%. And yeah, Apollo slurring, they are right up against each other, and the match is over. And he says, there isn't going to be a rematch. And Rocky's like, I don't want one. Don't want another rematch. That's it. Both sides never want this to happen again. And yeah, the ring is swarmed by reporters and press and everyone. And they are trying to get information out of Rocky. You went the distance with Apollo Creed. You did it. What do you got anything to say? And Rocky just is calling out over and over for Adrian. Just nothing is bothering him. He doesn't care about any of these other people. And Jurgens is in the middle and delivers the verdict of the split decision because neither fighter went down, so it has to be decided who won. And the judges decided to award the win to Apollo Creed. So Rocky loses the fight, guys, and Rocky won. And Adrian makes her way to the ring and declares her love for Rocky. She's like, I love you. And he says, I love you too. And they embrace, and we get a freeze frame. And it's it doesn't matter the outcome of the fight because, again, it wasn't Rocky knew he would lose. It doesn't, he set out to do this, and this is the victory. Apollo doesn't care. Presumably he'll never do something like this again. But anyway, we get the freeze frame and go into credits in the R's of us and them, and it's real nice. It's a glorious victory of these calling choirs, for the credits. And that's the film. That's Rocky. What did you think? How did it sync?
Oh my goodness. I think you've really, you've been the Mickey to my Rocky in terms of the noticing the syncs. I was I was coming in here. Actually, no, screw that metaphor. I was like Apollo Creed, I was coming in all flashy. I hadn't been focusing on the fight, I'd been doing my research. I'd been finding out about the robot in Rocky 4 and what his situation was. Whereas you were scrappy and you were throwing back eggs that were metaphors for sinks. So I've noticed more than I realized. We've discovered there were more, but I think it's still putting a carpet on the floor and telling me it's the ceiling. So I'm still feeling like a 4 or a 3.
I'm with you on that. I feel like it's a 4 because, there's only really sinks in the back half of this movie, I would say. For a long stretch, it's just not a lot of matches. But as we draw closer and closer to that fight, there's more and more syncs. So we're definitely sub 5, but I'm feeling a strong 4 on it. So
maybe as the franchise keeps going, a Rocky story keeps going, becoming their time traveling and beating everyone up until it's only many Rockies all across the whole universe, then we'll be getting the syncs higher.
Finally.
But, we don't live in that universe. We live in the one where we just keep boxing.
Yeah, not the Rocky verse. Never mind.
Nah.
Oh well.
So a 4 for the Southpaw.
Yeah. Oh,
nice.
Very good. What are we doing next week, Gareth, on the show? What are we doing?
Well, what are we doing? Well, you've got to look at the clues when you're looking for a sync, a movie
Blue's
that's
Clues.
Sync. Yeah, well, speaking of colour, we've got Pink Floyd, right?
Yep.
And we need to find something that's the opposite. Like Rocky says, we've got to find something that fits, fills in the gaps.
Yep.
So when you look at something that's pink and you close your eyes really quickly, you're going to see it turn green. It's the difference between day and night when that happens. So we're going to have to sync what I'm calling a new Christmas classic, one of the films you and I have talked about extensively.
All right.
On and off mic. We're syncing The Green Knight.
All right.
Yeah.
It's time. We got to do it. We got to do it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And
Green Knight.
Can you believe in a year's time, The Green Knight will then sync us? That's going to be pretty wild.
No, yeah. That's the real truth. Get excited for that. God damn. I can't wait for that pod. Just his booming voice coming through.
He's just been staring at us for 2 hours, and then he's like, didn't sync.
No. We're sitting in silence. He's holding an axe to us. Oh, God. Anyway, we'll get more of that next week. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I am excited for that, Gareth. Hell yeah.
Yes. Well, gosh, until then, thank you for listening, and check out Sync Floyd on Twitter at Sync Floyd Pod, on Facebook and Letterboxd at Sync Floyd. Email syncfloydpod@gmail.com. Just send us anything. Why not?
Send us your spam emails.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some good spam lately.
Oh, good.
Apparently the British government's offering $1 million for COVID, and they want to give it to us.
Oh my God.
Fascinating.
Man, I don't think we're the men for the job, UK government, but
no.
I appreciate the candor coming forward and checking in with us, but never mind. Might have to pass on that one.
No, that's not the Rocky story you want, us training to be the people for the job.
Oh, God.
You want it to be the people already built for that job.
Please.
Oh, goodness. Well, until then, I've been Gareth Blackler.
I've been plucky underdog James Barron.
And yo, Adrian, we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon. Adrian!
Yes, there it is.